Hi, Groove on here. Right, today's project. I've got a little radiator behind this chest of drawers. It's the only one in the room. It doesn't need much, it's only small. I want to move that radiator with a minimal fuss and be using the minimal equipment and doing it as efficiently as I can and putting it in front of this window. And I'm going to show you all the steps along the way. That's from hanging the radiator, draining the system, disconnecting the pipes, connecting them back up again. And fortunately for me, it's all been done in plastic. So to ensure that I don't disturb anything that I know is working fine and to minimize any possibility of leaks, I'm going to keep all the valves with the radiator tails on. I can get behind this wall, so I'm going to capitalize on that. I'm going to actually connect just the pipes behind the wall and keep the existing ones there and hopefully run them along this wall here to the window. Now, having a radiator underneath the window is traditionally the place you put it. And the reason is as the warm air convection currents start to rise, it meets the cooler air from the window and causes it to circulate in around the room, pushing the warm air back into the room and obviously heating the room up. So not only that, having the radiator underneath the window gets it out of the way, because you generally don't have furniture in front of the window. Looking behind the wall where the radiator is, you can see the two radiator flow and return, and there's elbows on the end there. So I'm going to need to remove those elbows and actually make the join in the room, but I can still leave the radiator valves connected as they are on the radiator without disturbing them. So there's a fair amount of slack here. It goes all the way around the eaves in the attic here. I'll probably I'll disconnect these here after I've drained the system and then see if there's enough of a distance. It probably won't be on that one to try and move it into the room. I'm going to probably need about maybe a couple of meters, so it looks like I'm going to have to make two joins. I'm going to have a join in the attic here and then push it through the wall for what would be the return, and then the flow looks to be just about long enough that I can minimize and just have one joint in the room. Bleeding the system, I usually like to do a top radiator. Make sure you use your radiator key and just open that slightly. That way it will allow the water to flow out of the system a lot easier. I'm very fortunate on my house that I can actually get underneath the house. And what I've done in the past for easy maintenance is, instead of having a normal drain for your radiator on the outside wall, which you have to sometimes use with a little screwdriver, all I've done is I've put a tap instead, which then drains outside. So if I ever need to drain the system, such as moving a radiator, which is what I'm doing, I simply turn this tap and it drains out through the wall on the other side. There's the water draining out from the radiators outside into the soil. The whole point of doing stuff yourself is to try and minimize cost, and I managed to find this off piece here, which I think is just about long enough for what I need to reach the radiator. Got my cutters here, importantly. I've got a box here of just old plumbing bits, which I always keep hold of. You never know what you need. There's the inserts, very important to put those in. And it looks like I've got enough straight connectors, and I've also got some of these clamps as well. So yeah, that's all good. Okay, to remove these push fit, depends on the type, but usually you can push the actual flange towards the fitting, and if you can't, then you can twist. So I can just hear the air now, so I know there's no water in the system. There we go. I'm going to remove the other side of the elbow as well. There we go. Okay, you can actually reuse those again if you want to. Remember these inserts, make sure that they are there and that they don't fall out. They're only cheap, you can replace them, or if it hasn't been in the system for very long, you can just leave them. Good idea to have a little bowl and some cloths handy. That side of the radiator you can see has just got a bit of residual water, so I'm just draining it off into this bowl. I can actually blow from one side and it will blow the water through the radiator and out the other. Not too bad. The water actually, to be fair, is pretty clean. I'm just doing that to minimise the mess when I remove the radiator. I'm fortunate that I've got a MagnaFlow filter on this as well, so it takes out a lot of any foreign, especially metallic particles running around your central heating system, which you clean sort of every 6-12 months. Let's lift the radiator up off its bracket and hopefully this should slide out. There we go. Now keep the radiator in that right position. If you tilt it, it can make an awful mess. Fortunately, I've drained most of the water. I'm going to leave it there, out of the way of the carpet. We have one radiator removed. I'm going to try and see if I can get one of the wooden bearers on this side. Fortunately, I have photos when this room was built, so I'm pretty certain I know where the supports are. So I can use the old fixings as an exact template to know where to go on the new wall. 54 and 18 and a half, 185. Okay. So the centres are 5/70s. So I'm just marking here. I can see where actually the evidence of this fixing was. So I'm using that knowing that there's a joist behind. Okay. Fixings I'm going to use. Make sure you use the correct drill bit. I'm going to use an 8mm drill bit as specified on the pack. Nice and firm. Radiator now hanging on the brackets. We just got to connect up these pipes. Okay, so now when you're commissioning, we've got to make sure that we get the water back into the system. It's a combi system. Obviously I've got no pressure there because there's no water because I drained it. So I'm just filling this up, take about 5 minutes, and then we can commission and make sure that there's no leaks. Just make sure you bleed the system to get all the air out. And okay, radiator's all on. Pipes are against the wall. I've put the clips on there. I've just put it on the top of the skirting there so it doesn't look too obvious. You're not really going to see more than about a couple of feet anyway, because this cupboard, chest of drawers, is going to go up against that. And importantly, at the back here, I now have the radiator moved. I'll fill in those couple of holes and it's job done. So we go, end result here. Not too bad. A couple of joins there unfortunately, but importantly this is back up against the wall for the cabinet, which is the end goal.
Let's move on, 'cause it's time to move on.